Hello, welcome to episode 6 of FPL Affairs, the podcast that discusses our 9-month-long love affair with FPL, including the ins and outs that keep us awake at night. In episode 6, which is split into 2 parts, because basically Jack and I can't stop talking about FPL. And in the first part, we review Game Week 9, and then we move on to discussing premium midfielders. How many do we need? And how do we get to them? First, we'll start off discussing how we can save money all over the pitch. Without further ado, let's get cracking.
And there's Mo Salah. There goes Haaland. He's on his way again. He's hungry. He's scored. Ice-cold precision from Palmer. Oh, Saka!
Welcome to our latest video with me, Matt, aka The Veteran. Alongside me, as always, is Jack the Master. How are you, mate?
Yeah, I'm good, mate. You?
Not too bad, thank you. How was your week? Week outside of FPL.
Yeah, busy. Busy week as always. But my week outside of FPL was boring. My week within FPL is quite exciting at the minute, but no, outside of FPL is boring.
Well, in which case we'll get on with it. Get cracking.
Let's get cracking.
In the auto.
There they are.
Yep, there they are. Episode 6. Premium midfielders. Who do I need? How many do I need?
Never seen a headache. Yeah, I've never seen a headache in a photo before, but that just screams headache. Let's get into it.
We shall start off with a review of Game Week 9, the Master Your Team. Talk us through it.
Oh, just Chris Wood. Wow. What a guy. What a man. The New Zealand Haaland. I absolutely love him. I just love him. I just love Wood, as Kieran would say. Chris Wood, Bosch, 2 goals, legend. Haaland, I watched the match of the day. Obviously, as a Southampton fan, saw 1-0 after 5 minutes and went, and here we go. But
did you know the score beforehand?
What do you mean?
Did you, before you said watching match of the day, did you know?
I did, yeah. So I listened to a little bit of it on Soccer Saturday, and from what I could tell, Southampton were very much riding their luck. Didn't realise how much luck they were riding. I mean, Haaland could have had 5. Foden could have had a couple. Vardiol. I mean, I went Lewis. So a couple of weeks ago, 3 transfers were Trent to Aït-Nouri, Rico Lewis to Vardiol, and Luis Diaz to Foden. And the Vardiol and Aït-Nouri combination, I mean, I'm absolutely buzzing with it. Aït-Nouri's an absolute goal machine. I've got him for the last three weeks. I think he scored 3 and 3 or something like that.
Or 2 goals and an assist or something.
Yeah, 2 goals and assists, 3 returns. Vardiol, what an absolute legend. He scored a couple of goals for me, and then obviously a bonus point magnet as well because he's just on the ball so much. Foden's been the flop. Came off the bench last week to get an assist, which sort of saved him. Thinking about getting rid of him this week, which we'll talk about later. And Buemo just continues to. I mean, to be honest, the second goal was a bit of a fluke. It was a cross that just went through. I mean, why Ipswich bought that? Why Ipswich bought that goalkeeper after the amount of problems he had last season is beyond me. That guy's just a calamity waiting to happen. Not that I can talk as a Saints fan. Havertz, another flop. Last week, Rodgers was on my bench. Scores this week. I put him in the team. Comes off just as well to come off after about 10 minutes. Flecken, bad call. Henderson, I took out. Gets his clean sheet against Spurs. And Smith Rowe, with quite a nice assist, actually. Did make the goal. I saw that. He went on a lovely run. And obviously, Calvert-Lewin was playing in that game, so I was hoping he'd outscore him for ownership. Gabriel was a shame. Again, no clean sheet. It was never really on against Liverpool anyway.
True.
So, but just a little bit disappointed. Maybe was hoping for an attack in return. Maybe was hoping for at least 60 minutes. But he's a bit of a question mark going into next week. And Havertz, to be honest with you, I watched the game. What do I say about Havertz? A lot of people talk about Arsenal, and a lot of people talk about needing a centre forward, and that's fine. They do, but he is a perfectly reasonable player to play at number 9. But I think without Martin Odegaard and without Saka, obviously last week, he just looks lost. He doesn't know where, and Arteta's been playing him sometimes in the midfield 3. I mean, he was playing mostly out on the left. I saw him drifting out on the left wing quite a lot, away from the play, and Trossard was playing more central. So he's very much on the chopping block for next week. But overall, really good week. Love Aït-Nouri, love Chris Wood, love Mbeumo. Vardy's been an absolute legend. Happy to get some Smith Rowe points because I stuck with him when everybody else jumped ship. Havertz is on the chopping block. Gabriel's on the chopping block. Flecking can just do one. Yeah, good week overall. I checked my rank on Saturday night.
Yeah.
Obviously, after having quite a good Saturday, and it jumped all the way to 21k after I think Smith Rowe played Saturday night, didn't he? So that was good. I've got to stop doing that because then what is actually a really good green arrow feels like a red because obviously Palmer and Salah did okay.
Yeah.
On Sunday. So 69 points. Happy with it overall. Rolled a transfer as well. Could have pulled the trigger on quite a few moves last week, but decided to stay patient. Went from 111k to 86.5k. Another green. Yeah, happy with it. Just slowly catchy monkey. I just need to keep plugging away.
Yeah.
I think I was like 210k last week, I think, and then 111, then 86. So yeah, we're getting there. It's quite tight up there. I was looking at it. I think if you look to the top 10k, it's like 20 odd points, but top 50k is certainly half that. So yeah, again, my differentials. I think I sent you a screenshot of my team on live FPL, and there were a lot of dice in there, which means there's a lot of players under 25% ownership around me that are owned by teams around me. It's Foden. If Foden banged 1 week, I'd fly. Do you know what I mean? If he'd have got a brace this weekend, I think he was at like 8% owned, 9% owned around me. So he'd have just, it'd have been lift off, but he didn't. But luckily, the rest of the team sort of within the and obviously looking at the premium assets there, like Gabriel, for example, and Foden, they didn't perform. People like Aït-Nouri and then Mbeumo and Chris Wood. So like almost like my cheapest players in each position, obviously not Rodgers and Smith Rowe, but you know what I mean, are the ones that are getting the points at the moment, which we're obviously going to talk about later on. But no, happy with it. Just got to stay patient. I just want that meteoric green arrow, but it's not going to come. So I just need to be patient and just be happy with what I've got.
Yeah. I'm the one that needs I need the meteoric green arrow.
Yeah.
We'll skip on to mine.
You need to do an FPL affairs Martin. That's what you need. You need to take a little leaf out of his book.
Right. Curtains opening, should I say. Right. So, mine was interesting story to start is with it being school holidays, we went away Friday morning and I'd had so many different things going through my head all week last week about what to do transfer wise, and still hadn't decided come Friday morning. And done during the day, and it got round to, well, it was Friday deadline 6:30, and it got round to about 6 o'clock, and I think I decided to do Saka and Diaz out for a -4, and to bring in Palmer, and it was either Johnson or Kulusevski, one of the two. And then you and I got messaging, and you were mentioning how against hits you are. And whilst messaging you, I had the app open on my phone, and I ended up I changed those two transfers to Saka to Foden, and just that. So I had that changed, and it just required the confirm transfers in the app, and then the app crashed, or it wouldn't load, because where we just got to our hotel, and the signal was terrible, so it was very intermittent.
For viewing purposes, can you tell everybody what my opinion on what you should do was?
Yours now. I'm trying to think back as to what your final thought was. Well, you were 100% sure that Diaz was going to start.
Yeah.
And you were unsure about Saka. And what you said about Foden, you said you were 70-30 in favour of Foden starting.
Yeah, and I said I thought Saka would start because it was a Sunday.
And I think you'd said possibly, I think it possibly was either to bring in Guardiola or Lewis, I think, in defence.
Yeah, that's right. I think we said, because last week's episode, we spoke about, or maybe, to be honest, I'm not even sure if it was on the episode or whether it was just me and you back and forth on Messenger, but you were talking about Robertson or Gabriel. Or well, you were actually talking about Robertson, weren't you, a lot, because you were worried he wasn't going to start. And my prediction was that Robertson would definitely start, Diaz would definitely start after resting in midweek, and that I had a feeling, like everybody else did really, that Saka would probably start, but didn't necessarily want to take the risk. But yeah, I think I said maybe take out Robertson to Vardiol or Rico Lewis if you wanted to leave some money in there to do the Palmer move this week. Yeah,
so in the end, long story short, by looking at the screen, is I didn't the transfer I couldn't get onto the app in time to confirm it, so I missed the deadline, which so effectively, for all intents and purposes, I rolled transfer last week unintentionally, which in the end worked out simply because I didn't take a -4 hit. Because I rolled, Diaz got an assist and Saka scored. So it was, in that respect, those were the plus points. The
you worked out how many points you're up on that?
Well,
if Saka was Palmer, it'd be -1, wouldn't it? Because did Palmer get 10?
Palmer got 10. So the last thing in the app was Saka to Foden, and that was going to be it. So that was the free transfer. So that means I'd be 6 points worse off.
Yeah.
If I would have been able to confirm that. Had I gone with
the hit option,
Palmer and Johnson, say, it would have been -4 down for the hit.
Yeah.
Palmer got 1 more point than Saka, so that's -3.
Yeah.
But then I think Johnson, I didn't actually look, but I think he got, 2 points maybe. So then by keeping Diaz, I got 3 points up on that. So probably 6 points better off-ish, I think.
If you'd have done the Robertson, the Rico Lewis move, though, ooh.
Yeah, if I would have done that, if I would have done Robertson to Rico Lewis or
Or
Robertson to
Vardiol.
Guardiola
Yeah.
and left Saka and Diaz, then yeah, I'd be either 5 to 8 points better off. But, well, reading out the team, I've got Raya's wonderful curvaceous hero.
I saw him get yellow carded and giggled a little bit.
I think what said it all was, for me, what summed it up this week, how 6 of my 11 players scored less than 2 points.
Yeah.
Collins, Robertson and Fass all with a solitary single point each. Rodgers with a point. Semenyo with a point. Watkins with 2. So, like the last few weeks, it's a small 2, 3, or in this case 4 players that returned. So it was Diaz, Saka, Mbeumo and Haaland. And yeah, I was very tempted with the Mbeumo captaincy. Very tempted. But again, for me, it was the fear factor of Haaland again, because Haaland was against Southampton at home with his record at the Etihad, despite how he's been recently.
Especially with triple captain on top of that as well. Obviously, last week you had the fear of missing out on his points and what that would do, but this week you had that added fear of people triple captaining him, which would have obviously made it a whole lot worse.
Yeah, so that gave me a wonderful grand total of 48, and because of Salah's late goal, it dropped. It raised the safety score. Safety score shot up, so 11 points down on the safety score, finishing with 48. Safety was 59, and my rank's gone from 3.1 million to 3.75, well, 3.76. And consecutive weeks, my game week rank's been 7.5 million in consecutive weeks.
There you go.
So yeah, this
we'll
is
hash that out later.
It's officially my worst start to an FPL season by a country mile. Yeah, I was inside the top 50k this time last year.
You'll get it back. You'll get it. You can claw these things back. Good chip strategy. Get a couple of good differentials that work in your favour. Yeah, I think to anybody listening and watching that's around 3 million, 4 million, 5 million, it is still early days. Obviously, 9, not what we're on game week 9, game week 10 coming up. There's plenty of time, loads of it. So things can change. Do you know what I mean? You have a couple of good differentials in there that go on a bit of a run. That can easily shoot up.
I had bench points was 11. First on my bench was Delap, so at least I knew that if Saka didn't start,
he got benched though. He did get benched. I was surprised to see him on the bench.
Yeah,
he didn't start, so I was surprised by that.
I was fuming when I saw that. I was like, this is the story of my FPL week already. Starting on the Saturday, I just thought I've got big question marks over Saka starting or getting any minutes, and then my first sub is benched for his club, and then it's like, oh great.
And then they went down to 10 men, and then he came on. But he did score a nice goal. It was a nice goal.
Yeah, was at least a sort of, okay, well then if Saka doesn't play, then I've got Delap come on, and his ownership around my rank was like 5 million. What am I on about? 5%. So yeah, we'll move on from that, onwards and upwards. And this week from looking in the group, lots of people were talking about, oh, there's not many clean sheets at the moment. How shall I structure my defence? Are premium defenders any worth anything? As well as other people saying, which premium midfielder should I get, or which premium midfielder should I get? So got us really into agreeing how, well, the focal point, people want the premium midfielders. So yeah, that's how we sort of materialized into how many of them, the pictured 5, we actually need and how to get to them. So tonight's episode, again, we'll just look through each area of the pitch and where money can be saved. So there's our premium 5, most expensive 5: Phil Foden, Heung-min Son, Saka, Palmer, and Salah.
I've got 2 of them.
Yeah, I've got
the two that are the lowest owned.
I've got Saka on there. So right, we'll start with goalkeepers. I've got Raya in goal, premium and most highly owned at 30%. I've also put Edison on there pictured. So Jack and I had a talk. Or well, I asked Jack really. His expertise and rank is better, and we came up with 5 more budgetary options that are more worthwhile than Raya at the moment, which were Sells of Forest, Flecken of Brentford, Leno of Fulham, Sarr at Wolves, and Sanchez at Chelsea. Okay, talk us through the stats, Jack.
Sells has obviously had a really good start. Forest, to be fair, as a whole team, have had a really good start. I do like Sells. Obviously, it doesn't make as many saves as like Flecken, for example. There's something going quite badly wrong at Brentford in their defence. They're not as solid as they were. But he's obviously got the second most points on this list with 31. Conceded only 5 goals, which is obviously the lowest on there. And has got 2 clean sheets, which is the joint top. So Sells for me is a great option, which is why I think he was the first person I replied with. However, their fixtures are about to turn. So similar for Chris Wood, they're about to go through a tougher fixture run than they have had. I did see him in a game. Who did they play a couple of games ago? And he was unbelievable. Made some unreal saves. It was last week. I think he got 3 bonus points as well. I think, but Sells. He was outstanding. Yeah, Sells. I can't remember who they played. Crystal Palace. So that's right. And Chris Wood, I think, got man of the match when I was watching it on Sky. And I thought, no, that shouldn't be him. I think he scored that 1 goal from outside the box, which was really a Dean Henderson mistake. And he got man of the match. And I was like, no, it should be Sells because he was unreal in that game. Flecken's annoying. I don't like Flecken. Flecken's a mistake by me. 0 clean sheets. Conceded 18 goals, which is the highest on this list. Obviously poor points. Obviously taking Sarr's minutes into account. He's the lowest scoring on this list. And it's funny how the expected points are quite funny when you look at the disparities between their actual points. There's obviously something going horribly wrong with Brentford's defence. I mean, he's made 44 saves this season and still conceded 18 goals. So that is not a watertight defence at all. Leno, I like Leno. Leno was obviously a bit of a cult hero last year. Did really well. They've only conceded 12 goals this season. I say only, that's not great, but he's not bad. They have had some tough fixtures for them. Are about to come into a good run. He's obviously had 1 clean sheet. I think he's the most expensive on this list. I think he's 5 million. But I do think the Fulham defence is a good defence. I would start to maybe look to target that defence. They've got some good fixtures coming up. Jose Sarr. So I watched the Wolves game. and he came in for Johnston. I think from what I read, him and Gary O'Neill had a fallout. They played Johnston. Johnston, to me, is a good goalkeeper, but watching him try and pass the ball out from the back, do you know what I mean? It's like watching a pensioner do it. It's just not his game at all. So they dropped him for Salah. And watching the game, I thought he played really well. And again, Wolves fixtures. Well, I think they've probably got the best fixtures in the game, looking forwards over the next 7 or 8. So he's certainly an option to target. Obviously, he's played. Where are his minutes?
I haven't got minutes on there.
He's played one game, isn't he? I think he's played one game. Sorry, he played 2 games. He was just really good the other day, and I quite like him moving forward because of their fixtures. Sanchez for me is an odd one. Chelsea defence is an odd one. Chelsea are, for me, not necessarily. They don't look like a good defence. They don't fill me with confidence. I mean, they've had 2 clean sheets, and he's made 30 saves. Do you know what I mean? To put it into context, Sales has had 2 clean sheets and made 21. Do you see what I mean? So he doesn't. He faces a lot of shots. And
both of them have got similar expected points compared to their actual points, because both of them are around about the 21 expected points, but are amongst the early 30s.
And again, Chelsea's fixtures are about to swing, but again, he is a calamity with the ball at his feet. I think it was the Liverpool game. I think he gave it away so many times. He doesn't fill me with that much confidence. Regardless, though, from an FPL standpoint, he is playing. You would argue that the Chelsea defence is better than the Wolves defence or the Fulham defence or the Brentford defence. I think there's maybe a conversation to be had between Forest and Chelsea this season, defensively. But with their fixtures coming up, Sanchez is a good option. Always a good option. I just feel like Sales is more nailed than Sanchez. They've obviously got that. I think it's Jorgensen or something on the bench. I think he's playing tonight in the Carabao.
Yeah,
always that. It's just when you watch Sanchez and he's just so erratic with his feet, and I've read that he's a bit of a diva and stuff. It just worries me that he might lose his place. And there are so many other ways to get into the Chelsea defence with the likes of Colwill. Gusto looks to be nailed. What's his name? Reece James is back from injury. So, I'm not entirely sure as goalkeeping option. I'm going to go for Sanchez, but he's probably the standout on this list based on his fixtures and his form in comparison with the others.
What? So if you were ranking those, should have had the price on there as well. But Leno's the most expensive at around about 5. The rest of them rest of them are 4.5. Sales has just gone up to 4.6.
Yeah, based on the start to the season, it would be Sales, Sanchez, Leno, Flecken, and obviously Saar would have to be last because of his minutes. I think looking forward, I think that changes things. I'd probably go Sanchez, then Leno, then Saar, then Sales, then Flecken. Flecken, I hate that I own Flecken because I just don't see a clean sheet from Brentford. Anywhere. They just seem to be atrocious at the back. But who knows? Rico Henry's meant to be coming back fit. It's Thomas Frank. I can't see him letting them carry on defending that way. Do you know what I mean? So I'm hoping that there'll be a bit of a swing and they'll tighten things up at the back. But hope's a wonderful thing.
We shall see. So budgets. If you've got Raya and you're looking to get some pennies out of that position, then keep an eye out on Saar with fixtures going forwards. Sanchez possibly.
I think I'd go. Yeah, I'd probably go Raya to Sanchez would be the move if I had Raya.
Right, moving on to the defence. I was thinking about if we were talking about structure of the defence now, based on the number of clean sheets that people are getting and so on, without necessarily giving any names to start off with, thinking about premiums, mids, how would you structure your sort of 5-man back line?
I'd probably
Say,
go with I'd go with 1 4 million. Decide who your 4 million is,
yeah.
and then just forget about them. Just make sure they play every week.
Hmm.
Like a Harwood Bellet or a Belfast, or obviously a Greaves. I think he's injured now. Then I'd probably go slightly higher, up to a 4.5, such as an 8 Nuri before his price rise, or what's that guy at Forest? Someone like him. I'd always try and have. For me, I'd go right backs and left backs. Always have done. I don't like. Obviously, there are centre backs with goal threat like Gabriel, Van Dijk. Do you know what I mean? But I prefer full backs. There's just more chance for an attack and return, and they're just more exciting. If you see Trent on the ball running down the right hand side, it's exciting to watch. If you've got Canate, for example, you've just got to wait for a set piece. You're sat watching the game, hoping they get a corner. Do you know what I mean? Or a free kick. So I just don't necessarily like that option. Not that they're bad options, but yeah, I'd go obviously a 4.5, and then this season I'd probably go for another 4.5.
Yeah.
And then I might look at 2 premiums, like a Trent and a Vardy. Or try and get into Arsenal defence with a Gabriel, Saliba. Probably 2 premiums in defence. However, there was a lot of chat in the summer about how the bonus point system was changing and how there was more emphasis on defenders to keep clean sheets. And this made me think, but this is, I think, why a lot of people went for Raya, because he was a decent price, an expensive price, but Arsenal's defence last season was obviously so good that it was an easy way into the defence. If you look at the likes of Gabriel and Saliba at 6, White at 6.5, no one knew whether Timber was going to play or Calafiori was going to play. So it was the cheapest way into the Arsenal defence with the Raya. So I guess I'd have a couple of 4.5s, and then either a couple of 6s, maybe like a Porro at 5.5, a Timber at 5.5, Canate's 5.5, and then if you can go up to Trent. But yeah, 2 premiums, 2 budget, and 1 bench fodder.
You sticking with that now for the
No.
foreseeable?
No, I think obviously we'll talk about it in a minute, but with the amount of premium mids and the lack of clean sheets in the league, especially for Arsenal, who everybody thought were nailed on to get clean sheets and were almost fixture proof, which they were last season, which is fair enough. But I mean, they just conceded to Leicester and Southampton, and obviously lost to Bournemouth. Conceded twice, obviously 10 men, but context. But yeah, all of a sudden I'm looking at them in a totally different light. So yeah, I think I'll just have 1 premium. And there are so many good value options, which we're going to talk about now.
These are the 5 that have sort of been identified or initially thought of. And you've got...
I'd quite happily have that as a back 5.
What, all 5, no premium?
Yeah, I'd quite happily have that as a back 5. Obviously, because it frees up the money in the midfield and the attack. A lot of people are obviously talking about removing Haaland to save money. But with the likes of Ait Nouri, Robinson, Rico Lewis, Aina and Colwill, they are 5 very good budget options. Obviously, Lewis is the biggest rotation risk there, but
Four,
I think
4.7 or 4.7 or
yeah,
4.8 at the moment.
4.7. Yeah, might have gone up this week, not sure, but yeah, 4.7 last I looked. He's probably the biggest rotation risk, but eight Nuri and Robinson. Yeah, I'd almost leave him in my team for the season. Do you know what I mean? Especially Robinson. I really rate Robinson. Eight Nuri's obviously good. I'm slightly worried Gary O'Neill's talked about going from a 5 at the back to a 4 at the back. I wonder how that's going to affect him. He's also on 4 yellow cards, which is another point. But Robinson, I think Robinson, I think he's a great fullback. I really do. He's got bags of pace. He gets forward. He crosses. I mean, they've got Raul Jimenez up top, who's just an out-and-out number 9, who's begging for the ball to be crossed into the box. And Robinson will happily oblige. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, I really like those players. I'd happily have all 5 of them for the season.
Yeah, so what you were previously saying about the 2 premiums, 2 4.5s and a 4, you've effectively sort of looking at this list saying, well, scrap that and go for 4 players in the 4.5 to 5 bracket.
Yeah, I think always leave an option to go up. Like, for example, that would look a little bit, that would look like my back 4 if Lewis was Vardiol. Do you know what I mean? Because there's just that little bit more money in there, that little bit bigger goal threat. He's obviously slightly more nailed, or as nailed as you can be in Pep Guardiola team. So yeah, I think if you had that 5 with Vardiol, that's a lovely back 5. Do you know what I mean? Really nice fixtures coming up for 8 Nuri. Same with Robinson. Obviously, Aina's in a very good defence. Cole was in a good defence, as we've just seen from the previous slide. Both have had a couple of clean sheets each. Cole's got some nice fixtures coming up. So yeah, I mean, attacking wise, Robinson's the most attacking assist wise, with 2 assists this season versus 8 Nuri's 1. But 8 Nuri's goal threat, 3 goals. There's nobody else there. Lewis seems to pick up positions in the pitch where you think, well, that's a good position. That looks threatening. That looks dangerous. He could have a shot from there. Do you know what I mean? He could have a 1 pass, have that killer pass and get the assist. Very rarely happens. I think his 1 assist, I think he squared it to Kovacic and he stuck it top ins from like 30 yards or whatever. So I think that's his 1 assist.
I think some of the hype with Lewis really is, yes, his minutes and his starts have been a lot consistent. I think so. He's started 8 of City's 9 league matches, and he's always like finding himself in the right areas of the pitch, so that potential's there. But then, although he's finding himself in the right spots, it hasn't materialised so much into as many goals or assists as for someone playing for City.
I mean, he's also 4.7 million. Do you know what I mean? Playing for in the defence at Man City. So, like, it's a massively budget option for Manchester City. To get a Man City player for what was 4.5 million when he started, it's just unheard of, really. Do you know what I mean? So I think that was a real clambers for him. And I think it's paid off. I think it's paid off. I think for the money you got, the money he cost, if you got him at 4.5 a couple of weeks ago, you've got a clean sheet, you got an assist. Do you know what I mean? And he is. But I took him out, and I think that was the week he got his assist, and Vardiol blanked, and Rico Lewis got it because I took him out. But every week, I had him for 2 weeks. I think I got him in on wildcard. It's just worried he's going to be on the bench. Do you know what I mean? And then I think Kyle Walker's currently injured, so he's a little bit more nailed. But like you said, he has started 8 out of 9 games, played 90 in pretty much all of them, apart from one where I think he came off in like the 85th minute or something. So still plenty of time anyway. But you're just waiting for them to be back at full strength, have Walker back. And then at that point, it's the same with Foden for me at the moment. I'm thinking, oh, well, how long is he going to continue to start? Because he started tonight in the Carabao Cup, started last midweek in the Champions League, played 90 at the weekend. So he's going to be rested probably this weekend. So that's worrying. If you were going to try and predict Pep Guardiola, that's probably what I'd do. But Yeah, it's 4.7 million for a Man City player. Like it's hard to turn your nose up at that, isn't it?
Yeah.
But every week I'm like, if I opened Sky Sports Live Score, whatever, and looked at the lineups and he wasn't in it, I wouldn't go, oh, I can't believe it. Like, do you know what I mean? Like you'd be like, yeah, obviously. So if you're a manager and you're happy with that, then bring him in. Do you know what I mean? Because he's probably going to start 5 out of the next 6. I just worry about that one.
Yeah. Yeah, so pricings wise, Nuri went up this week to 4.6. Robinson, last time I saw, was 4.7. Lewis, the same. Aina, I think, is predicted to go up either tonight or tomorrow to 4.6. And Colwell, I'm guessing, is 4.5. But yeah, looking at the table, Nuri with the most goal threat is the only one that's scored this season out of those 5. Robinson, as you said, and then Colwell that are most likely for expected assists.
Yeah, that's odd. Colwell's expected assist at 0.51. That's a curveball, isn't it? For him to have a higher expected assist than Nuri, for example, or Aina. That's food for thought because he's obviously underperforming that data. So you'd like to think that would come through.
But then, I mean, you look at the expected points compared to their actual points, and Nuri aside, everyone else is pretty much roughly got
they
what
should
they've
be,
been expected. So Robinson expected 30.41, he's got 28. Lewis 15 and 15. Aina just under 18 and he's got 20. And Colwell expected just over 25 and he's returned with 21. But yeah,
I think that's interesting that non-penalty XG, that's against, isn't it?
Yeah.
That Chelsea's is the highest on that list.
Yeah.
Bearing in mind where Wolves are in the table. Which is like I said in the last one about Sanchez, it surprises me. Do you know what I mean? The Chelsea defence is an oddball. It's you can have 2 clean sheets in 9 games, and yet your expected goals against is higher than Wolves. Do you know what I mean? So I think that's my point with Chelsea is they don't look like a good defence. They don't look solid. They're certainly not like the defence that they had under Thomas Tuchel or like Arsenal were last season. Or do you know what I mean? So I just don't like that Chelsea defence. But Colwell is a good budget option, and he is nailed. He does seem nailed.
Yeah.
So yeah.
If you didn't have Nuri already, where would you be looking with those 5 if you were thinking of cutting down from
Robinson.
Guardiola
I make Robinson the best on that list. I think with 2 assists, his expected assist is 0.7. Do you know what I mean? He's obviously got the highest expected points on that list, the highest points on that list. I like Robinson. I do. I like him as a player. If I had to rate these from 1 to 5, I would put Robinson at the top because of Nuri on 4 yellow cards. I think you do have to take that into consideration. I think if you are bringing him in this week and he does get a yellow card, you will be disappointed that he's just benched against Southampton. Do you know what I mean? Because you will be bringing him in for that fixture to certainly target that fixture.
So they've got Crystal Palace. They've got Crystal Palace at home. Is that right? This weekend?
Yeah. This is obviously not necessarily a great fixture. It's not a bad one, but I wouldn't say it's as good as the Southampton. Obviously, it's away, but it's Southampton, so whether it's home or away, it doesn't matter. To be fair,
I think Wolves have got both games are at home. Both Palace and Saints are at Wolves.
Oh, of course, because we've got Everton at home this weekend. Yeah, okay. So yeah, I'd go Robinson, then I'd go Nuri. This is looking forward.
Yeah.
Then I'd go Lewis. Then I'd go Aina. and then I'd go for Colwell. Based on this season so far, probably Aina, then Robinson, then Lewis. No, then ain't Nuri, then Lewis, and then Colwell.
So yeah, there you go. There are some cheaper options if you're looking to downgrade Gabriel or Robertson in my case, or Trent even. Which takes us on to the forward area of the pitch, which was very tasty shortlisting this.
Yeah, it is nice.
Quite easy. Hard to narrow it to 5, actually, the way the cheaper options are playing this season.
Yeah, there's definitely scope for budget forwards. Definitely. Especially, Jimenez is revived this season, isn't he? He seems.
That's without going into too much detail, and sidetracking, I think that's absolute wonderful story based on when he was first at Wolves, and he was really clinical and really going, and then he had the horrible head injury, and since he returned from that head injury, his goals just virtually completely dried up at Wolves, and then he moved off to Fulham, new fresh start, didn't really seem to change, but then he's come in the team a few games into this season, and then boom. So it's a lovely.
Yeah, it's a nice comeback story, isn't it?
Yeah,
really nice. But he's certainly repaid the manager with his faith for his faith. Do you know what I mean? With his goals, obviously 4 goals. I think 9 key passes on here as well. I watched the Fulham game. He's very much involved in the attack. He's also had 7 big chances. So for me, he's a very, very good option. Very good option. Playing in a very good team. Do you know what I mean? If you compare Fulham with Leicester, for example, Vardy on this list, obviously, Vardy's a fantastic centre forward, but Leicester aren't as good as Fulham. They're not going to. Do you see what I mean? They're not gonna do as well for the season as Fulham are. But Jamie Vardy has had 4 big chances. He's had 3 goals and 4 assists, and 4 key passes. So he is getting involved. I saw him at St Mary's a couple of weeks ago. He looks exactly as he always did, but he's just lost a yard or 2 of pace. The ball's in behind, he can't get to them anymore. He can't outrun defenders like he did in his heyday. But other than that, because of that, he's a lot smarter with his positional play, and he does sniff out a chance. So he's very dangerous. Visser, who was my differential pick for last week. I said on last week's episode, be careful of players like him that are injured and get heavily transferred out, because all of a sudden they become great options again when they're back, and they're also differential. So he's an absolute lad. So 3 goals. He should be 4, really. I know Gaffer Lewis will be cross. It's been awarded.
So that is 4, really, and that 1 assist has changed to a goal. So
to a goal, But he has got quite a high ceiling, I think, Visser. I think I had him at the start of last season. And he does like to score goals. That's the thing with Brentford. They very rarely win 1-0. Do you see what I mean? They do score goals at Brentford. They are quite, especially this season anyway, they're very open. So they do like to attack and bang. Him and Mbeumo have struck up a really good partnership, especially with Ivan Toney going. It does make him nailed. He is their number 9, and I do really rate him as a player. Obviously, his minutes need to be taken into account, looking at these stats after missing a few games. But his expected points are 12, and his actual points are 18, so he's outperforming that. Chris Wood, I just live for Chris Wood at the moment. Every weekend, I'm excited to see what he does. I've never owned him in FPL ever. Brought him in on wildcard in game week 5. He was on that score blank run, and now he's just gone score. So love that. Thank you, Chris Wood. He again, similar to the last few positions we've spoken about. Great so far, but the fixtures are about to change. Are Forest going to keep this up? Obviously, they beat Liverpool 1-0, so you could say that they've got form against bigger and better teams, and they're a little outside shot, aren't they, for the top 4 this year, and maybe challenge for a European place, do a bit of a Brighton or a Brentford, where they can sort of be the best of the rest outside the big guys. But I own Chris Wood. Would I be happy holding Chris Wood? Yeah, perfectly fine. I'd be perfectly fine to hold Chris Wood and have him against Arsenal. If I had to play him, I'd just play him and see how we got on. But in an ideal world, I'd like to move to Jimenez or probably Cunha. I think Cunha's about to be one of the higher owned players in the game with the fixtures that Wolves have got. He's obviously, again, shout out to Martin, been on a hell of a run over the last few games, and that's with not with easy fixtures. So yeah, I think Cunha's about to come in and sort of go big. He's also one of the highest there for expected assists, so he does get involved. He does like to run from deep. He does like to link up the play. So for me, FPL points wise, Cunha and Jimenez, I think, are about to have a nice couple of weeks, especially Cunha over the long period of time.
He's on a vast majority of set pieces for Wolves, which is why his expected assist is quite.
Yeah, I saw him on corners.
High.
And then Sarabia came on, and then I think he was off corners when Sarabia came on, but Sarabia hasn't started yet this season, I don't think, or if he has, it's been quite minimal. So yeah, that's obviously an added bonus. So yeah, Cunha for me is the sort of front runner in that list. Vissa will get you goals. Vissa will definitely get you goals. Vardy will definitely get you goals. Wood will also get you goals. Jimenez and Cunha for me though are going to be involved a lot more, whether it be from assist threat as well as goal threat going forward.
Sounds like you're struggling to rank these ones.
No, I go Cunha, Jimenez, Vissa, Wood, and Vardy going forward. That's what I do. I think, as we're going to talk about in a bit, I think Cunha might be making a move into my team this week, free up some money.